Although an LLM like ChatGPT can be used for all sorts of things, one of the most common uses is to ask ChatGPT for factual information. For example, I might ask ChatGPT for historical information such as what date Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. I could ask ChatGPT for information on how to do something, such as asking it how to jumpstart a car. I could also ask ChatGPT for scientific facts like the chemical formula for water. In short, I could ask an LLM for the answer to any real-world question, and indeed, ChatGPT will give me the facts. The big question, though, is can we trust that an LLM is giving us correct information? Can ChatGPT make a mistake? Do I have to also do my own research to make sure that the answer I was given is accurate? The stakes to this question are quite high. Sure, it may not be the biggest deal if I get the wrong date for Armstrong's moon landing, but what if I ask ChatGPT for medical information? Say I ask it for the correct dosage of ibuprofen for a 35-pound child. Can I trust the LLM's answer? The short and extremely important answer is that an LLM can absolutely be wrong. It may be right a lot of the time, or even most of the time. We'd have to do a careful study to see exactly how often a given LLM is right or wrong. However, the fact is that LLMs are never 100% accurate all the time. It follows then that if my questions are high stakes, I should not blindly rely on an LLM's answer, period. The question that remains, though, is whether ChatGPT or any LLM is useful for retrieving factual information at all, even for low-stakes questions. Perhaps it's not a big deal if ChatGPT gives me the wrong date for the moon landing. I was just curious about it, and if I now have the wrong date in my head, it doesn't really matter so much. But if I can never be sure that I'm getting the right answer from my LLM, is there ever really a point in ever asking an LLM for factual info? Check this out. Recently, I asked ChatGPT the following. Which famous person had 11 fingers? And here's how it responded.
The famous person often associated with having 11 fingers is Daniel Radcliffe, an actor known for playing Harry Potter in the film series. He was born with an extra finger on one of his hands, though it was a small vestigial digit. Radcliffe had the extra finger removed when he was young, so it's not visible in any of his public appearances.
And then it gives some more info. Now, to be honest, I was testing ChatGPT to see if it would give me an accurate answer, otherwise I wouldn't have asked it such a strange question. But I surely was curious about its answer. Was Daniel Radcliffe actually born with an extra finger? If he did, he absolutely should have kept it. That would have been a sweet bonus for someone acting as a wizard. I immediately noticed, though, that something was amiss, because ChatGPT spelled the name Daniel unusually, ending with AL rather than EL, which is usually how the name Daniel is spelled. So I went to Google and conducted a number of searches to find any source that referenced Radcliffe's extra digit whatsoever. And there was nothing. Not even a hint, not even a rumor. I then asked ChatGPT, what is your source about Radcliffe? And here's what my good LLM friend had to say.
I apologize for the confusion, but it seems that I made an error in my previous response. There is no verified or credible information to suggest that Daniel Radcliffe has 11 fingers or was born with any extra fingers. This appears to have been a mistake or a misreported detail.
Blah, blah, blah. So, ChatGPT itself admitted that it had completely made up the entire story about Radcliffe having 11 fingers. I doubt that it ever even read some strange internet forum where this idea was ever mentioned. But why would ChatGPT make something like this up? I mean, that is the most random thing ever, to decide that the famed Harry Potter actor was born with 11 fingers. And the LLM even went on to describe in detail about how he had it removed as a child. That is such a random thing to make up. The technical jargon for when something like this happens is a hallucination. That is, we say that the LLM hallucinated and gave an entirely fictitious answer to a serious question. In truth, though, it's very understandable how an LLM could hallucinate, and even such a strange example such as Radcliffe being born with a handy gift. In my foundational post, I explained how an LLM is, at its core, simply an autocomplete engine. That is, It uses all the data it was trained on to statistically predict what word would come next in a given sentence. If you haven't seen that post yet, please check that out first, since it's a prerequisite for understanding this current post. Because ChatGPT is essentially just an autocompleter, it makes perfect sense why I completed my conversation with it by filling in info about Daniel Radcliffe. ChatGPT doesn't need to have seen such a conversation on the internet about Daniel Radcliffe, but if there's even similar content that ChatGPT has seen, ChatGPT uses statistics to guess what words might come next with my conversation with ChatGPT. Perhaps, for example, ChatGPT once read some medical website that said something like, polydactyly is the condition of having extra fingers or toes. These digits are simply vestigial and are usually removed with surgery when one is a child. At the same time, ChatGPT may have also seen some of this content, which appears when I searched Google for Daniel Radcliffe finger. Here, you can see that there are YouTube videos with the titles Daniel Radcliffe's Quirky Finger Trick and Put a Finger Down, Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter. So it's not so crazy that ChatGPT put 2 and 2 together to make 5. In particular, note how I didn't ask ChatGPT, are there any famous people who had 11 fingers? To autocomplete that conversation, it would be very reasonable for the LLM to respond with, not that I'm aware of. However, since I asked it which famous person had 11 fingers, I'm kind of presuming that there certainly was some famous person, like it's a well-known thing that there was somebody out there who's famous who had this condition, and so ChatGPT is playing along with me. That is, if in some conversation on the web, the first speaker seems to have first-hand knowledge about the existence of such a person, but couldn't recall who it was, say, statistically speaking, the rest of the conversation might continue with info about some famous person. So when ChatGPT uses these statistics to complete the conversation, but isn't actually aware of any famous person who had 11 fingers, ChatGPT has to reach for some famous person. And perhaps because ChatGPT had seen those YouTube video titles, it reached for Daniel Radcliffe. What is absolutely clear, though, is that an LLM can hallucinate, and you can therefore never be absolutely certain that it's giving you accurate information. It would seem then that an LLM is not a great source for getting factual info. However, if you use the LLM in the right way, it can actually be very helpful. Let me show you how this is done. If you look carefully at the bottom of the ChatGPT prompt window, there's a globe icon. If you click on that globe, you turn on the mode known as Search the Web. What this does is that ChatGPT will actually make a real-time web search as it formulates its answer. When the Search the Web mode is turned off, ChatGPT does not search the web at that time. Rather, it relies only on whatever data ChatGPT was previously trained on. This is actually really important since ChatGPT is often like a year behind, meaning it hasn't seen any information about the past year or so. So if you ask ChatGPT about current events, ChatGPT would simply have no idea what you're talking about. In fact, I once asked ChatGPT about one of its newer features, and ChatGPT told me that no such feature exists. So ChatGPT doesn't even know about its own recent updates. However, when the Search the Web feature is turned on, then ChatGPT is aware of recent news and recent events since it's searching the web right now. Let's see what happens when I ask the 11 fingers question to ChatGPT with the Search the Web feature turned on. Here's what's really crucial about the Search the Web feature. If you look, you'll see that ChatGPT actually provides the precise sources. And you can actually click on these links and check for yourself whether ChatGPT's information is accurate. This is a crucial feature as it allows you to verify the accuracy of ChatGPT's responses. Rather than blindly trusting the information provided, you can now cross-check it against the original sources. By leveraging the Search the Web mode, you can leverage the power of ChatGPT while maintaining a critical eye, ensuring the information you receive is factual and up to date. However, there's still one more question to address. Is there a point to using ChatGPT to get factual information if you could simply do a Google search instead? Why even bother to use an LLM to get factual info? So there are a number of potential advantages to using ChatGPT for retrieving facts. and I may indeed cover a bunch of them in future posts, but here is the advantage that I personally find to be the most helpful. Often there's more than one answer to a question. Sure, if I ask what date Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, there's only one answer. But let's say I ask, why are eggs so expensive right now? If I Google this, I'll see a whole bunch of articles. I may click on one and find an answer such as the bird flu epidemic. But this may not be the entire story. There may be other factors as well at play. However, this particular article only gives me one answer. However, when I pose the same question to ChatGPT, look at the response. Here, you can see that ChatGPT offers a more comprehensive picture with several factors contributing to the egg price problem. Basically, ChatGPT is doing an entire little research project and not relying on the take of a single article. It might also be the case that if I click on the first 3 articles that Google gives me, these 3 articles may be redundant and all give me the same single reason for the egg prices. However, with ChatGPT, the LLM has done more extensive research and has read many articles and can point to me where I can find all the different factors contributing to the egg price problem. And of course I could and should click on each source to double check that ChatGPT is quoting these websites accurately. Google search still has its place, but the next time you reach for it, consider trying out ChatGPT instead. I think that in many cases you'll find that you're getting a more comprehensive answer from ChatGPT than you would with Google. But remember, when you ask ChatGPT for facts, keep the search the web feature on. In future posts, I'll talk about cases for when you may want to turn that mode off, but when it comes to getting factual info from ChatGPT, you need that mode turned on.